Movies recaps here. Today I'm going to explain a film based on the real-life story of the youngest warrior of World War II called Soldier Boy. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The film opens in Russia, where a family of 3 is relaxing by a river. When German fighter planes unexpectedly fly overhead, the youngest of them, Sergei Alyoshkov, brags to his mother and older brother about being on top of a tree. The mother orders her children to run and hide in the bushes, but the 6-year-old insists he is not afraid and shoots a slingshot at the jet. To everyone's surprise, he successfully hits the jets and causes them to explode. But as he turns to look, his family has vanished. Fearful from the dream, Sergei wakes up and calls for his mother. Someone suddenly knocks on his door. He rushes toward it, thinking it's his mother, but a neighbor woman enters in a panic. She tells him that his mother and sibling are deceased and gives gratitude to God for keeping him alive. The young child, who is unable to understand what she is saying, wants to wait for his mother inside the house. The women advise him to go because the Germans have attacked them. A group of soldiers suddenly approaches their home. Sergei is forced to leave via the window by the women, but she is shot dead before she can follow. Sergei sees his entire neighborhood blazing behind him as he flees the house. He makes unsuccessful attempts to reach his mother before leaving the area. He finally arrives in the midst of the woods after some time spent jogging. Because he is lost, the young child begins to call for his mother to come and get him. He spends that night in the wilderness. The next morning, as enemy soldiers come his way, we observe him drinking water from a river. Sergei hastily hides within a tree's roots after realizing they are dangerous. When a snake approaches, he is terrified but doesn't scream or flee. Sergei fears the troops more than the snake. The soldiers finish their meal by the river, leave, and Sergei takes their leftovers and eats them all night. The young child is worn out, nevertheless, by the end of the day. He hasn't eaten properly in 2 days and has been wandering aimlessly. He stumbles while walking but doesn't stop. He eats some wild fruit he sees along the path after seeing them, but the boy has vertigo and begins to see someone behind him. He tells the person he has a weapon and is not afraid, though, even in these dire circumstances. He advances but eventually loses consciousness. 2 soldiers approach him as he is still sleeping. The action is cut to the Russian army base, where the commander is waiting for the soldiers carrying gasoline. They enter the room carrying a young child who is feeble and injured. The small boy speaks up and ends by introducing himself when the soldiers say they are on his side. All of the troops' free time is spent with Sergei. He receives a lot of visitors all day long. They give him food that has been shipped from abroad by their families, and they even let him use their binoculars. A soldier approaches the commander and requests that he permit the youngster to remain with the regiment one day. The troops form a strong bond with the child and consider him to be their own. His presence relieves them of the burden of battle. For the boy's own safety, the commander is determined about transferring him to the orphanage. The next day, the enemy attacks, and several men suffer injuries. Sergei is picked up by a car and driven to the orphanage. The commander tells the youngster the bad news and presents him with a wooden honorary pistol. The child then embraces him and says he is worried for the commander's security. The commander alters his mind as he melts in his hug. He asks Sergei to stay with the soldiers as his son. The soldiers are overjoyed that Sergei will be staying with them as they search for their soldier clothing for the young boy that evening. Sergei is awakened by the commander, who then gives him the clothes. He moves about with them on, appearing to be a real soldier. His nickname among the group is, their little army boy. The Germans launched an airstrike on the regiment as the child ran about. As they engage in combat with the others, the soldiers swiftly carry Sergei to safety. The number of soldiers hurt is rising quickly. Sergei provides water to thirsty soldiers out of a desire to be useful. He had a bandage over his eyes, so one of them requested him to read a letter from his family. Despite not being able to read, the youngster wants to assist. He takes the letter and begins fabricating the contents, saying the soldier's cow is secure at home. When the soldiers assert that he lacks a cow, The others advise him to join in on the joke and chuckle. He reviews everyone else's correspondence. Similar manner and lifts them up. The next scene shows Katya and the commander conversing. The two appear attracted to one another but keep their sentiments hidden. Later, Sergei starts introducing himself as an orderly and informs the commander that he belongs to the battalion's orderly position. Following day. When he requests a mission from the commander, he is assigned the assignment of distributing the letters among the soldiers. He skillfully completes his assignment and even gets the warriors to dance. The following day, use his binoculars to search a bit outside of the base. And while he is tinkering with it, he notices someone's leg moving from inside a haystack. He immediately returns to the unit and informs the soldiers of his discoveries. The troops follow the youngster everywhere he goes despite their skepticism. They are informed to look under the haystack to spot the German spice when they get close to it. The kid is lauded for his cleverness after the spies are captured. That evening, the commander demonstrates to Sergei the adoption records. He's now recognized as the child's father. Sergei takes the commander to confess to Katya because he is aware of the commander's emotions for her. However, the two mistakenly believe she is interested in someone else when they observe her talking to a different man. The Germans launch another assault on the base. This time, Sergei gives the troops his best by arming the front line with ammo, but they order him to return to the set since the situation outside is too hazardous. He arrives at the set and observes the commander and others in a panic since the phones aren't working. The damaged wires will be repaired by a soldier. Following the soldier, Sergei observes that he has sustained deadly injuries. He inquired of the dead soldier how to fix the cables and carried it out on his own. More troops are called after the connection is restored. Everyone's lives are saved by the 6-year-old. Later, we observe Katya and the commander conversing by the river. Eventually, the commander tells her he loves her and begs her to be Sergei's mother. Katya is speechless, but before she can speak, they are approached by a soldier who informs the commander that they have been sent from the base. The next morning, each soldier departs for their new base, along with Sergei. However, they encounter a minefield along the road, which causes some of their cars to be destroyed. When they finally arrive at the opposite base, they encounter the general, who is the commander's boss. He commends the captain for having such a bright child and agrees that he is amazed by the children's ambition. The boy is given a guard's banner the next day, along with their division. When the commander hands him his badge, he makes a commitment to save his nation. Become an integral member of the group. He travels wherever they go in the fight without a family nearby. The regiment is seen transferring to another base as the film comes to a close. He even took part in the Battle of Stalingrad, and he traveled to Poland with the soldiers, according to a voice in the background. He is currently recognized as the youngest soldier in history, and the epic tale of his bravery is now being told to the entire globe. Thank you for watching. Please turn on notifications, subscribe, and leave a like for the channel.